Hello everyone. This is the 34th part of the story, I'm Voldemort. Chapter 213 Annoying Goblins. Once everything was packed up snugly in their pouches and trunks, including the precious artifacts which need to be tested for any dangers, Tom and Druella stood before a barren hall. It is still fancy-looking place, but without its treasures taking up space, the great vault of the Pendragon family lost a lot of its former flair. Not only did Tom and Druella clear out the place, but they also searched for any possible hidden areas. If there was any in the vault, they didn't find a single one, which was all right. Tom didn't actually expect there to be any hidden rooms since the requirement needed to enter was so strict. Sigh, let's go and check the other vaults. We shouldn't keep Luck waiting any longer. I'm sure he's already pissed as it is. Tom says as he and Druella leave the vault through the portal. As they step out of the portal, the door-shaped interdimensional door morphed and changed back into the statue of Arthur. The statue didn't speak, nor did it look animated anymore. Not bothering with the statue, as they never have to go back inside the vault again, Tom and Druella ascend the stairs, open the vault door, and finally leave the Pendragon vault with all their loot in hand. As soon as they left the vault, they were met with a group of very annoyed and somewhat worried-looking goblins. At the head of these goblins was a pensive-looking Luck, who has been waiting for his best client to return for almost 4 hours now. Sorry for taking so long, Tom says with an apologetic expression. The Pendragon vault needed another trial before we were allowed in. It took some time to get it done, Tom says as the goblins look curiously at the sword on Tom's hip. At first, they wanted to give Tom and his fiancée a piece of their mind. Time is money to any goblin, and these humans, nobles or not, have wasted a lot of their money. As time went on, many wanted to break into the vault in order to confirm if Lord Riddle was alive or not, and most importantly, peruse and seize everything in the vault if he was deceased. Although, all of those plans washed away the second they laid eyes on the sword in Tom's possession. It's not like they could actually get into the vault in the first place. Uncountable goblins have tried and failed over the many years since the royal family died off. Obviously, they all knew what vault this was and what should be inside. Many of them also saw Tom in Gringotts before this, and he didn't have a single sword on his person then. The only place he could have gotten that sword is the vault, and that sword must be Excalibur. One exclaims. Excalibur. It can't be, could it? Another mutters in shock with eyes glued to the weapon strapped to Lord Riddle's hip. Many of the other goblins simply stare at the sword, too shocked to say a word. Lord Riddle, is that what I think it is? Luck asked with a pointed finger aimed at Tom's waist. Huh? Tom grunted as he looked down at his crotch. You mean this? He asked, pointing at his genital area. Following Tom's finger downward, all of the goblins looked at Tom as if he were the biggest idiot they'd ever seen. Meanwhile, Druella just started giggling off to the side. She knew this was Tom's way of avoiding the question. No, your new sword, my lord. Luck says, completely ignoring his client's nonsensical behavior. Oh, that's just something I picked up in the vault. Tom answers with a wave of a hand, as if it weren't anything special. Although Tom played it off well, the more experienced goblins weren't fooled. Goblins are experts in crafting weapons and enchanting them. There's no way those with more experienced eyes wouldn't notice the very few of the runes and glyphs showing on the sheathed sword. Just by what they could see, they knew it was highly likely to be the real Excalibur. Not even the most skilled enchanter in the group could make out what any of the symbols meant, but he could tell they were very powerful in nature. Enough questions, Tom says, diverting the attention away from his sword for the second time. We still have to go through 2 other vaults. Enough time has already been wasted on this one after all. Seeing that Tom wasn't going to say anything about the sword, Luck decided to let it go for now and simply do his job. It's not like any of the goblins could take Excalibur from him, even if they wanted to. During the time of King Arthur, many goblins tried to steal and wield that amazing sword, but it just doesn't allow anyone but it's chosen to lift it, let alone swing the damn thing. You're right, speaking of wasted time. Your vault will be charged for our money lost during your time in the Pendragon Vault. I'm sure you understand? Luck says with a greedy smile. Of course, as long as it's a fair amount, I don't mind paying you for your time. Tom shrugged uncaringly. It's not like I need to worry about money. Especially after taking all of that gold from this vault. As Tom agrees, all of the goblins in attendance smiled greedily as their eyes shine for a brief moment. Good, which vault do you want to visit next? Chapter 214 Next. Good, which vault do you want to visit next? Luck asks with the greedy goblins still at his back. Their time is being paid for, so they might as well stick around. Getting paid for simply being there is a good deal after all. It's some of the easiest money these goblins could make. As long as Lord Riddle or Luck doesn't ask them to leave, the money they're already owed will increase. Free money. Usually, Luck would tell his money-grubbing colleagues find someone else to swindle out of their money, but since Tom was so tight-lipped about the sword, he started to feel a bit giving towards his fellow man, or rather should he say goblin. Hee, this is what you get. Luck thought as he waited for Tom's answer. Don't think I don't see what you're doing, you cunning little midget. I'll let this slide this time. Tom thought as he eyed his account manager. Do these people already know about my other lordships? I thought we had a deal. He asks, wondering how Luck got around the oath they made when he was younger. Yes, these are some of the highest-level goblins in Gringotts. Sooner or later, all paperwork has to go through somebody, so they learned of your other houses. Luck says with an uncaring shrug. Don't worry, before submitting the paperwork, I bargained for similar oaths to what I swore that day, so they won't breathe a word of it. Of course, you'll repay me for the expenses, right? Of course. Tom said with a small amount of annoyance in his voice. He's getting greedier by the second. At least he handled the problem before any leaks happened. Lord Riddle is so generous. Luck compliments Tom, but it doesn't feel like one. Why don't you take an extra 50,000 galleons for a job well done as well? You deserve it. Tom says to his smug-looking account manager. Hearing how much Tom was willing to give for just a simple bonus, many of the goblins looked to Luck with envious glares. It's no secret that the account every goblin of Gringotts covets the most is Tom Riddle's. Luck went from a normal teller to the top accountant just from riding Tom Riddle's coattails. They may be rich high-level goblins in Gringotts, but their wealth is nothing compared to what Luck rakes in. Peeking from side to side, Luck could see the envious and jealous eyes of his coworkers. He could practically hear their inner thoughts plotting to overthrow him and take over Lord Riddle's account. That's what you get for being too greedy. Tom thought as an evil smile formed on his face. Hopefully, these idiots start killing each other. The least amount of people that know my business the better. I have to be careful with these scheming little backstabbers. Luck thought as he decided to raise his guard from now on. Looking to the one that threw gas on an already roaring fire, Luck could swear he saw an evil glint shine from Tom's eye. Although Luck could die in whatever internal struggle happens in Gringotts, Tom doesn't really care either way. If Luck were to die, Tom could just ask the same oath from his next account manager. He won't accept anyone with his vaults without a few well-worded oaths after all. If you can't deal with a bit of opposition, then you aren't worthy to handle my money. Tom thought as he mentally wished Luck good luck. Let's go to the Slytherin vault next. All right, follow me. Aluk says as he leads everyone around the dragons and to a vault door that wasn't as grand compared to the last, but that doesn't mean it isn't still impressive. Similar to the Pendragon vault door, this one has a sigil in the center of the door as well. An S-shaped snake in the middle of a simple shield was carved into the door. What else could it be but Slytherin? The same as before? Tom asked, receiving an affirmative nod from Aluk. All right. Using the same dagger as last time, Tom cuts his hand and places it on the vault door while pushing out some magic. Similar to before, the vault starts lighting up as the clicking of gears could be heard from inside the door. As the lights die down, so do the sounds from beyond the vault door. Seeing the door slowly open, everyone saw a long and dark winding tunnel behind the open vault. Once again, every goblin's hopes were crushed. Although they weren't as excited compared to the Pendragon vault, they still hoped to see what's inside a Founder's vault. No one was more down than Aluk. This is his second time around, after all. Lord Riddle, would you mind if we followed you in? I'm curious to see a Founder's vault. One goblin asked. Yeah. Me too. I'd like to see. Every other goblin, except Aluk, voiced their want to see inside as well. He knew Tom wouldn't agree like last time, so why bother? No, wait here. We'll be back soon. Tom denied instantly as he and Druella walked through the door and into the cave. Hopefully this one doesn't take as long as before. I'd like to be able to get some sleep tonight after all. Chapter 215, Slytherin Vault. As Tom and Druella entered the cave entrance of the vault, the doors slowly closed behind them, locking everyone else out. All the goblins could do was grit their teeth and remember that they're being paid for their time. Inside the vault, when the door closed, the cave became completely quiet, so Druella had to make a small light with her magic to see in front of her. Tom, being the enhanced human he is, didn't need the light but appreciated it nonetheless. Do you think anything amazing will be in here? I doubt anything could top finding Excalibur in the Pendragon vault. Druella asks as they walk their way through the winding tunnel. Who knows? Tom shrugs unknowingly. I agree with you, but either vault could still have some goodies laying around. We'll see, I guess. Druella mutters as she and Tom spot what looks to be the end of the tunnel cave coming into sight. After turning around another corner, a bright light shined through the cave, lighting up the otherwise pitch-black surroundings. Walking to the exit, Tom and Druella step into a giant cave that seemed to be renovated into a makeshift secret base. This reminds me of the Batcave. Did Salazar live here during the time he left Hogwarts? Tom thought as he surveyed the area. Contrary to the last vault, not a single sickle, canute, or galleon was in sight, which may be a good thing. Based on the many trunks stacked neatly in the cave, Salazar seemed to be a bit of a neat freak compared to other lords and ladies, who pile their wealth into hills to admire. Where's the gold? Druella asked, not being used to such a vault. Even her parents' vault had small hills of gold, so seeing nothing like this is new to her. I think it's in those trunks over there. Tom says, pointing to the trunks across the cave. Go check them while I look around a bit. While Druella walked over and started searching trunks careful for any sort of traps or enchantments that could cause her any harm, Tom started strolling around the cave/vault/base. Looking around, Tom found bookshelves filled with books on Parseltongue and how to use them in different categories of magic, which would come in handy. Tom has about a shelf full of books like this in Slytherin Manor, but with these 2 or 3 bookshelves full of similar books, Tom will progress his snake tongue magic soon. From what Tom knows, it can be used for every type of magic that needs an incantation, enhancing said magic, so he'll have to see what these books have to offer later on. Still searching around, Tom found an area that was set up similar to a bedroom off to the side of the cave away from the entrance. The area had a desk, dresser, couch, bed, and everything else you would see in a lord or lady's bedroom. For a cave bedroom, the place looked extremely fancy with a black and green colored rug and drapes blocking the cave floor and walls, making it look less like a bland cave and more like a comfy bedroom. Laying in the bed, tucked in snugly below the Slytherin-colored bedsheets, Tom was met with the white skeleton of who could only be Salazar Slytherin himself. Who else could it be? Tom thought as he walked up to the corpse of his ancestor. Did he die here alone? That's sad. Standing at the foot of the bed, a circular array of runes and glyphs light up the floor by the bed, causing Salazar's bones to rattle and start rising. Sitting up from the bed like a normal living person, the skeleton starts shining as an illusion covers its dry old bones. The illusion came together perfectly, hiding the bones underneath and mimicking the appearance of Salazar Slytherin. Since he's seen his soul before, Tom identified that bald head almost immediately. With a mother like his, Tom is an expert in recognizing bald heads at this point. Hello, whoever you are. The illusion of Salazar Slytherin starts speaking. Hello. Tom replies with a wave. This is all pre-recorded, so don't bother replying. Salazar says with a teasing smirk. Very funny. Tom says sarcastically. I left this illusion behind knowing that I won't live for much longer, cough cough. As illusion Salazar says this, he starts coughing up small bits of blood. Ahem, apologies for that. Many of my organs are running on their last legs. Tom then watched the illusion grab a small handkerchief from what looked to be an elf, and clean himself up with a dignified and noble air around him. I've seen our world go from a lawless place without any structure, to a brilliant kingdom that protects its citizens, pure blood or not, and I want to leave this behind to explain my side of the Hogwarts argument that ruined the friendship between my best friends and I. No, my brothers and sisters. Salazar says as he starts explaining what Tom already found out through some of the journals left in Slytherin Manor. Basically, Slytherin didn't trust non-purebloods because of how many of them betrayed the school to the church, causing the deaths of many students and staff at the time. The others didn't agree, and they all had their own image for what Hogwarts should do and be. From what I've seen while living in the shadows ever since I left Hogwarts, I admit that I was wrong. Well, I think I was right and wrong at the same time. We shouldn't have excluded Muggleborns, but I still think more security measures should have been made. Whatever, that's not important now. I was wrong and my actions caused an ideology of pure blood superiority to appear that still haunts me to this day. Knowing that I'm the cause of this divide in our society truly hurts me. Please know that everything I said back then was for the safety of the children, and not for the superiority of those with purer blood. Chapter 216. Please know that everything I said back then was for the safety of the children, and not for the superiority of those with purer blood. There isn't much more to says. If you want to know more, I'm sure you can find my journals and find out on your own. The illusion Salazar says as his complexion gets worse. I know I have no real say in this, but I leave to you everything in my vault and properties. I hope you would use these resources to right my wrongs, but that's your decision. I can't force you into anything after all but. Suddenly, Salazar started coughing madly as he grabbed his chest with one hand and covered his mouth with the other. Blood seeped through his fingers as he shot backward onto his awaiting pillow, unmoving with blood dripping from his open mouth. The sounds of a worried and heartbroken house elf could be heard, wailing to its master to wake up without a single response. Salazar was dead after all. Soon, after almost 30 seconds of hearing Salazar's old elf mourn his death, the illusion faded away as if it were never there, to begin with. Without anything to hold it up anymore, the old skeleton of Salazar Slytherin fell backward and turned into dusty sand, covering the middle of the bed. Ah! Out of nowhere a feminine scream rings through the cave. Huh? Druilla. Tom thought as he disappeared in a burst of speed. As Tom was watching the heartbreaking scene of his ancestor's death, Druilla was casually giving each trunk left in the vault a once-over. They don't have time to do a thorough search, so she is just opening them, taking a peek, and moving on to the next. So far, she's found mostly trunks filled to the brim with shiny gold galleons. Some of the trunks were different though. One had clothes. Another had potion supplies, and a few even had some dangerous-looking items that need further investigation, but mostly she found a lot of gold coins. While searching the chests, the looming figure of a serpent-type creature eyed Druilla's unguarded form. Tucked in a cave opening in the ceiling, two glowing red snake-like eyes stayed glued to Druilla's figure. If she could see said snake eyes, Druilla would clearly feel the maliciousness radiating off of them. This snake wasn't just eyeing its new food, even though it is hungry. No, it's angry at this woman who dares to enter the vault of its master. It happened to be asleep at the time Tom and Druilla first entered the vault, so the snake didn't know about Tom, nor did it smell him from this distance. Sniff, sniff, the snake took a whiff of Druilla's scent, trying to find any familial resemblance to its former master. Not smelling any familial ties, the red snake's eyes narrowed as its body slithered out of its hiding spot. Hearing the sound of something scraping against rocks, Druilla turns her gaze upwards and sees a giant snake with dark red scales slithering in her direction. Taking out her wand, Druilla starts firing spells as swiftly as possible, but none seem to do a single thing to the snake before her. Just to be careful, Druilla didn't dare look into the snake's eyes. She didn't know if it was a basilisk after all. Spells seemed to simply dissipate off the snake's scales as if it passively sucked the magic out of the spell. As Druilla was firing off spells and learning how useless they are against such an opponent, the snake coiled its body like a spring and striked forward with an open mouth, ready to either bite its prey or swallow her whole. Diving to the side, Druilla barely dodged the snake's open mouth. Peeking to the side as she dived away, Druilla saw a purple liquid dripping from the snake's fangs. Seeing its prey avoid the attack, the snake swings its head to the side with its mouth wide open, spraying poison from its fangs. As the poison sailed through the air, Druilla acted quickly and did her best to block the probably deadly liquid. Protego Maxima, she called with a wave of her wand. Instantly, an invisible shield appears in front of Druilla, intercepting the poison and saving her life. Although it saves her life, that doesn't mean Druilla was spared any pain or injury. The majority of the poison was stopped mid-air, but the poison seemed to have the same characteristic of the snake's scales. The poison ate through the magical barrier fairly quickly, and the small amount that still had some velocity behind it sprinkled a few drops onto Druilla's dress, eating through it and touched her smooth, pristine skin. Ah! Druilla screamed in pain as the poison burned her. What's the matter, human? You don't like my venom? Here, take some more. The snake hissed as it coiled and pounced at Druilla, who was currently screaming in pain while trying to get the poison off of her. As the snake's open mouth loomed over his unguarded fiancée, Tom appearing in a burst of speed and punted its scaly head, sending the serpent flying into the cave wall 100 meters away. Landing in front of Druilla, Tom waves his hand, levitating the poison off of her body. Put this on the wound, Tom says as he ignores the snake and hands Druilla some magical ointment. I don't want your beautiful skin to scar. Chapter 217. As Druilla took the ointment with a sigh of relief, the snake, who was just sent crashing into the jagged cave wall, came rocketing out of the dusty rubble. How dare you? The snake hisses as it comes speeding in Tom's direction. Hearing what the serpent said and sensing its incoming attack, Tom peeked over his shoulder and backhands the snake away, sending it crashing into the same cave wall for the second time. The cave seemed to be reinforced with some sort of magic, because 2 consecutive impacts like that would cause a cave-in anywhere else. Get your scaly ass over here and apologize before I turn you into a nice pair of boots. Tom turns around and orders the snake with an air of superiority. Suddenly, without control over its body, the dark red-scaled snake shot out of the rubble a second time. This time is different though, as it didn't attack either Tom or Drusilla. With a bewildered look on its serpent face, the snake coils into a circle and prostrates its big head into the floor. "What did you do to me, human?" the snake asks in a feminine hiss. Only Tom could tell it was feminine though. He does speak Parseltongue after all. "I simply ordered you around. A little garden snake like you seems to subconsciously know your place." "That's good." An evil smirk forms on Tom's face as he approaches the snake's humongous head and rests his hand on the tip of its nose. "You're a bit bigger than the worm I killed in Hogwarts. Any relation?" Hearing Tom's question, the dark red snake's eyes filled with fury as it stares down at Tom, wanting nothing more than to tear him apart. Seeing the snake's reaction, Tom smirks evilly. This snake just attacked and hurt his fiancée, so Tom needed to make it suffer a bit as recompense. "Oh, so you did know each other." "Don't worry, not a single bit of its carcass went to waste. I made many a useful item out of your friend or family member's parts." Tom's evil smirk grows larger as he continues to infuriate the snake in front of him. "Was it your mother? Brother? Sister? I forget the gender of that worm." "What was it?" "My mother." The snake replies with gritted teeth and fury in its eyes. "Wow, a fine garden snake like you came from that worm?" "I'm very impressed," Tom says as he pats the tip of her scaly nose. "Oh right, I told you to apologize. Go ahead." As he says this, Tom motions towards Drusilla, who has already applied the ointment. She was watching Tom's evil acting from the side with a satisfied smile. Although Drusilla couldn't understand their hissing, he could see their expressions and Tom seemed to be winning the exchange. The snake wronged her after all, so she took a bit of pleasure in seeing Tom handle her. "I apologize." The snake grits out one word after another. Although she apologized, the snake didn't turn its head to Drusilla, keeping its gaze on Tom, hoping to kill him with her deathly gaze. "Nah," Tom grunts with a shake of his head. "You have to apologize to her, not me." Soon, the whites of the snake's eyes go bloodshot, matching its red irises. Venom spews from its mouth as she turns her snake head toward Drusilla. "I'm sorry." She hisses in anger. "Oh. I forgot that she can't understand you," Tom mutters, causing the snake to spit more venom in fury. Turning to Drusilla, Tom looks over her wounds and pulls her into a hug. She says she's sorry. "Did she? That's nice." "She looks very angry though," Drusilla says as she eyes the snake over Tom's shoulder with a smirk. "True, but that can be treated with a bit of training. Would you like for me to kill her, or maybe you want a pet? I'm sure she could be a good bodyguard." Tom asks. I wouldn't mind keeping her as a pet, but I can't understand her as you can. I'm also afraid to look into her eyes." "She is a basilisk, right?" Drusilla asks in return. "Yeah, but you can't die thanks to Lady Death, so I don't think it would be a problem, and even if it is, I can ask Manasa to give you immunity to a basilisk's gaze. The same goes for Parseltongue as well. She is a snake god after all, so those 2 things shouldn't be hard for her," he says. "All right, but let's leave her here for now. I don't want to show her to the goblins. Also, we need to find a way to shrink her. Maybe some sort of runes carved into her scales, perhaps? I'll look into it." Drusilla agrees to take in a new pet. Hearing Drusilla's decision, Tom nods and turns to the snake herself, who is still stuck prostrating. No matter how hard she tries, not a single part of her body was under her control. Congratulations, garden snake. My lovely mate decided your fate. Thankfully, for you, she wants a pet, so you get to keep your life, Tom says condescendingly as he walks over and pats her scaly nose once again. Shocked by what she heard, the snake's reasoning returned for almost a fraction of a second. Tom has been talking to her in snake tongue this entire time, yet she hasn't tried to check if he has familial ties to Salazar, her former and only master. Sniff, sniff, smelling the man standing in front of her nose, she was instantly reminded of her former master. You are his descendant? She hisses in shock and a bit of awe. You mean Salazar? Yup, how do you think we got in here in the first place? This marks the end of part 34 of the story, I'm Voldemort. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe the video to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.